Episode 214. If you're tracking numbers, check this one off, 214. We have a show for you tonight. Some of you may be familiar with, it made the news rounds a little bit. Marquez Brownlee, the tech review guy, YouTuber, 20 million subscribers, one of his co-hosts and first employee ever, says he likes UDisc. We're going to find out more about that. Actually, Ben, welcome to the show. Josh, welcome to the show. But Ben, you did an interview with this guy, Andrew, a couple months ago, and we just thought it'd be good to bring him on the show tonight. You excited?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Andrew, I don't know. He's super cool, and I think is such a cool asset to the disc golf community as someone who literally manages a 20 million subscriber YouTube channel. So I think I'm excited to hear what else he has to say that we didn't really touch on in my other podcast.
Perfect.
We're coming up on that number of subscribers, I think. Like current trajectory, it'll be like another 82 years or something. But you never know. You can go viral.
They are one. Is this, what number is that? 1,904 times bigger than us. Is that correct? I think so.
I don't know. But that's also his primary YouTube channel. I know he's got multiple channels. So,
yeah. So that's the
and
interview tonight.
Podcasts and Andrew himself is also, of course, a podcast co-host in his own right along with them. So yeah, it'll be great. It's always fun. And this is off-season talk, right? And to talk with somebody who kind of crosses over from industries that are of interest, I think it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for those who are like, man, I'm not really into like learning about podcasts. Well, buckle up, because it's going to be a little bit of maybe where we came from, where he came from. It's going to be disc golf content. In fact, I was going to just surprise everybody. But stick around. I think we're going to get in a little bit of Judge That Disc Golfer.
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone's missed it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, it's one of those things where we haven't done it in a while. We have new listeners, viewers who haven't seen it. So they're going to be like, what is this? And one day we'll go back to the original, but we're going to do it with Andrew live. One day we'll go back to the on the course version, but we're going to do it live. So stick around. We'll play along with that. So throughout the interview, you can kind of size him up, try to figure out what his answers will be. So yeah, we're excited about that. And so yeah, other than that, man, we're going to talk a little bit of a preview, looking forward into the disc golf season coming up. And I know we're not even through November yet, but just kind of look ahead, see what events are missing, things that we can talk about there. Really, really cool show lined up tonight. We're excited to bring it to you. Yeah. So the small talk, which is something we've always done prior to our show starts. What'd you do this last weekend, Josh? Or yeah, 2 days, last 2 days, 3 days, whatever.
Let's see. So as is often the case, not always the case, I had a big run on Saturday, an ultra marathon. So Ben, I know you've got friends in the ultra marathon world, but
yes.
Yeah, I ran. I'll go ahead and give you the overview. I entered a 6-hour trail race, so a really technical trail, lots of elevation gain, really significant rocks, roots, twists, and turns. 3.5 mile loop with 700 feet of elevation gain, and you basically run as many loops as you can before the 6-hour time limit. You have to complete a loop for it to count, and you run and you run and you run. And you compete against others. And I met my goal, which was 8 laps, which was 28 miles, 5,000 feet elevation gain. And it was a really good day. And I recovered on Sunday, and I'm a little bit sore today. So there was my weekend. And in New England, it was beautiful weather. So I did not squeeze any disc golf in, as is often the unfortunate case. But it was awesome here in New England. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Are you ever gonna do that ultra marathon where it's like infamous, where it's like
Barkley?
It's a what is it called?
The Barkley marathons?
Sure. Yeah, where it's like
sure.
The guy lights his cigarette and that's how you start.
Lazarus Lake. I know all about it, and it's incredibly hard to get into. And I ran a virtual race that guy put on, and I ran almost 1,400 miles in 4 months. But that's probably the closest I'll get to that, Ben.
Sheesh. Dude, I'll get you in. I know a guy.
Yeah, dude. Like, if you've watched the famous documentary, and there's plenty of other kind of like secondary documentaries, it's pretty comical and really secretive in how you get in. You have to find like you have to send certain letters and certain processes, and he's super quirky and a lot of fun. And if you know a guy, then yeah. But I run a lot of ultramarathons, but that race is so incredibly difficult. I don't think I'd want to try it. That may be a notch above my skill set.
It's understandable. Yeah, it's basically you got to be Bear Grylls of the ultra marathon world.
Yeah, like super elite, basically. Some of the best ultramarathoners in the world have not finished his race.
Correct.
So anyway, yeah. But Ben, you didn't go running around in the woods this weekend, or did you?
What did I do this weekend? I don't know what I did this weekend.
That's always.
I really don't know what I did.
Hey, how was the wedding food tasting last week?
Oh,
is that what it
the
was?
wedding food?
Was that what it was?
Yes. It was for the cake, food. It was for the whole 9 yards. It was really fun. It was really cool. We were just getting served some allegedly free food, not free though.
It's like added to your tab for the wedding. Yeah, exactly.
It's all baked in. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was really cool. I don't think I did anything this weekend. Oh, I had team challenge Saturday. That's what I'm missing. But other than that, yeah,
you had disc golf.
Just been working, trying to get the expos up and going, and getting, especially Disc South, the Dallas one, trying to get more vendors there. So if you're a vendor and want to vend, hit me up, please. That's all.
Watching the back end here as the producer, I'm seeing your guys' signal keeps fluctuating, both of yours, and I'm thinking it was me, but it's going green and red and all over. But Ben, you are coming through pretty blocky. Josh, you're seemingly fine, but Ben's blocky.
It's funny. I was just about to send you a message on the side and say my download speed sucks tonight. My upload, I think, is fine. So like I'm getting you some choppy in and out, but maybe it's not me.
Well, you're coming through solid, Josh. It's just showing me packet loss. And Ben, you're coming through like a Minecraft game that my kids play. So
I know. I don't know. Sometimes it goes well. Sometimes it doesn't. Like, should I restart? Like, it's confusing.
Yeah, someone in the chat. What's
Wi-Fi.
up with Ben's video? And then now we just lost Josh. It's hilarious. I say all that, and then boom, everybody's dropping. So let me see here. Let's go. Fix this up. But while that's happening, we'll wait to see if Josh jumps back. Something happened there. I did team challenge as well. Our team drove from...
Whole show is frozen.
Yeah, but now it should be... should be good now. Incredible. Let's see here. We're back, I think. But I do not know why that happened. So, yeah, I played... Disc Golf Team Challenge. Ben, I hear your video playing back through the mic on your phone. No, you don't have your phone out?
No, I don't. That's not me.
Oh,
That's
hear
you.
myself talking through your headphones, I think, and back into the microphone. That's what I think. Like it's actually like I can hear it through your headphones maybe when I'm talking so loudly. So, long story short, played Disc Golf Team Challenge, Woodland Valley. Our team went into a playoff after 2 rounds of one round of match play, 1 round of stroke play, went to a playoff. We stuck in our 2 best, arguably, Paul Crans on tour, Harry Chase going to be on tour. We put them up as our doubles team, and they won in a 2-hole playoff. So that was pretty awesome.
I watched it. It was very cool.
Oh,
clutch
sweet.
putt.
Yeah, it was clutch. It was awesome. All right. Well, I swear it's coming through your headphones.
I don't
Like sit back a little bit, and I want to talk and see if I can hear it. This is the live joy. Check. Yeah, I don't hear it now. That's perfect. So it's definitely coming through your headphones. So like just turn down your headphones or something.
All right.
So anyways, this is the joy of a live show. You guys just got 12 minutes of us talking random stuff, including tech. All right.
Yes.
But yeah, hopefully this all gets ironed out and smoothed out in time for, the guy who hosts a 20 million subscriber YouTube channel. But we're good. We've lost Josh since I mentioned his video. I was like, it was like a precursor. It's actually kind of crazy, dude. It was a precursor because I was like, hey guys, like your video, I'm seeing the connection rate. You're probably fine. And then Josh gone. Ben gone.
You called it.
Studio
You
crashed.
predicted the future.
Wow. Josh says he's trying to get back on. So he's in the chat. That's funny. He's in the chat. Hey guys, I'm trying. Okay. So what happens at disc golf in the fall around the rest of the world? Like I can't imagine like Arizona, and I lost Ben, everybody. So we're going to be with me for a minute. Wow. Network issues galore.
Yeah, should we just do a whole new show? Like start off from square one. Like,
Well, let's see.
hey,
It's
everyone.
reconnect. OBS is reconnected, but I don't know why it keeps disconnecting and connecting. I do not understand that part of it. I'm going to guess that it's internet stability. Let's see here. But I don't know why everybody, like, why would your internet keep going? Why Josh's internet keep going? And now mine.
I think you
like,
hacked into me.
dude, we're in different states. Like, it's is weird. And yeah. I like the comment, must be using the same internet service as Netflix during the Tyson fight. Did you? I stayed up, foolishly stayed up the night before Team Challenge to watch that.
I did too. I was very tired the next day.
Yeah.
What,
did
you had
notice?
to drive up, right?
Yeah, I drove up to Maine. Like I left at like 5:30.
Oh my goodness.
So that was dumb.
Jeez.
Anyways, if this continues to keep disconnecting and connecting, I don't know what we'll do. Let's just cross our fingers that we're still going strong. But we're still waiting for Josh. So yeah, I mean, this could be the live version that everybody's sitting in on this and hanging out with us. And we could start a new version if it continues to do this. But I was just talking about disc golf in the fall, and I was talking about where there were no leaves, Ben, like playing in Arizona, or again, I bring that up because I've been there, or deserty locations or big fields. But when we are here in New England, you get to play with the leaves, and you literally lose discs on almost every single throw.
Yep.
And
So frustrating.
we just talked about it at Team Challenges last weekend, 2 days ago. You'll watch a disc go in right. I mean, you see right where it goes. It's not like you lost it like the flight. You watch it and you walk up, and 4 of you can literally kick leaves forever and not find it and have to walk away. It's crazy. That's every fall. So it happens to all of us. And then you kind of just wait.
It's brutal.
The rain, we haven't really had rain up here, but the rain would pack it down. The snow would pack it down, people walking on it. And then by the spring, not an issue. Summer, not an issue. And then fall, deep leaves. Almost to the point. You can't play Maple or Pyramids or any like Marshall Street up here. Almost that bad.
Is it worse than deep snow?
I kind of think so.
I think from losing a disc standpoint, it's worse. Obviously, deep snow, maybe it goes in, but with leaves, like you said, you could watch it like a hawk, and then it's gone.
And that happens in snow. I've had really bad snow situation, but fresh snow is a different issue. You can kind of see where it went. You know, it didn't skip far because it went underground at a certain point in the snow, and you know it's not going far. With the leaves, it could go right in, slide. It could slide 30 feet. So you're looking in one section, and it's 30 feet away, and you think, well, expand your circle to go find the disc that you lost, but the leaves cover it real good. You know?
Yeah, but then everybody's kicking up the leaves with their feet, right? The classic stirring it around, and now you're like,
Yeah.
now you stirred the pot, and it's like, good luck, give up on it.
Yeah, so that's a whole thing in the fall. And it's funny because I was taking a walk with my wife out in the woods near a disc golf course. And I said, you want to know how you can tell disc golfers have been here? I said, see all those leaves, those little like kicked up spots? Like that's not deer sign. That's not a squirrel. Like that, I can tell by just looking at that pile, like disc golfers have been kicking around in there. So that's pretty funny. All right. So we got Andrew in the green room. Andrew, you can hear us? Thumbs up. Yeah, cool. Can you give me like a test, like a hey or a clap or something before we bring you in? Because I do not hear you. And I'm curious on maybe
Join on Chrome if you can.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
I
yeah.
can hear you in the green room. Perfect. All right. So, incredibly so, Josh. After you crashed, you disappeared. Ben crashed. I was like here by myself. OBS disconnected, auto reconnect, and then it happened again, disconnect all of us. We're in different states, different places. I do not know how that stuff happens, but it does. And then someone's like, there's a storm in Eureka. And I'm like, okay, the whole country is crashing. And I know there have been YouTube outages, but this was
Isn't that like
everything.
the word people exclaim, like, you know, when something crazy happens, it's like Eureka.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like that, it's just everything's piling up. Let's hope the internet doesn't crash. I like the comment around Netflix issues.
Yes,
Like, we
that's a
give
whole
ourselves
topic, by
hard
the way.
time.
Maybe we can.
And obviously we're
Yeah.
like,
We got to
it's
get
not
into
same
that.
thing.
Bro.
we'll get
but it's
Andrew's
still-
input on some of
I
this
was
stuff.
gonna say funny maybe isn't the right word, but it's funny that even the mega tech companies can struggle with tech at a certain level.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's go ahead and bring in Andrew to the show instead of keeping him in the green room. Boom. What's up, Andrew?
How's it going?
Great. Welcome to Staggered Stance. I have no idea fully your history of disc golf, so I can't be like formerly known as the Nick and Matt Show, but that was 5 years ago. So we'll figure out a little bit more about you. But welcome to the show, man. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm correct, I mean, you're used to podcasting. I've listened into a few of the podcast episodes you're in, and we're excited to get your input on some things as well as your perspective on disc golf. So,
Cool.
from a little bit of the stalking that I've done, because you get into the situation, you're going to meet somebody, and Ben's like, oh, this will be great. And we gave him the role this year, by the way. We're going to put it on record. It's Ben's job to kind of try to line up these interviews from here on out.
Cool.
So anyways, I started perusing a little bit. I realized through Instagram that only goes so far. It's what you make public to the world, but you enjoy grilling and smoking meat, good food. You enjoy throwing frisbees, discs, you rock climb, you're a studio manager of a podcast, and you work with obviously very well-known Marquez Brownlee, all the tech review video stuff. And we're going to find out more about that as well, but 20 million subscribers there. So you're involved in a lot, but I'm like, wow, I like grilling and smoking meat. I love it.
Yeah, nice.
I like throwing frisbees since I was a kid, and disc golf's a passion. Rock climbing was something I was into for years, and my buddy went on to be the U.S. Olympic climbing coach.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yep. So he's doing that the last few Olympics. So that's my connection there. He's really good. Obviously, he's won a lot. I don't do it anymore, but and then podcast and producing and tech. Like, I'm just like this little guy over here doing it for the fun of it, but we have some similar interests. So I'm excited to find out more, man.
For sure. Yeah. I'm open to answer whatever.
Okay, cool. So what's your favorite thing to cook on the grill or smoke?
I mean, I think ribs are the easier thing to do, but it's just like night and day between making ribs in the oven and making ribs on a smoker. So that's like the easy wow factor. Brisket's the hardest, and I want to get better at it, but
Same.
It's obviously fun. Yeah.
Same. Yeah. I think for me, it's a nice pork butt. Like,
yeah,
I had a pit barrel, which was awesome. You just cooking in a barrel. And then I got a big Weber, and then, and long story short, that's my go-to, but ribs are like right there as well. So
yeah. And a pork shoulder is like $10 for like 8 pounds.
Exactly.
It's really hard to beat that.
Exactly. And I've got 4 boys and a wife, and we eat a lot of pulled pork.
Exactly.
So it's awesome.
Nice.
Okay. Oh, and I also saw, I told you, Instagram's weird. Like, you got a wife and a child. Is that your one child?
First child,
Okay,
yeah.
first child.
You mentioned rock climbing before. I don't really get to do that anymore. I feel like it's one of those sports where you kind of have to be going consistently, and a 1-year-old last year has been tough to do that. So disc golf is the easier, like, oh man, I've got 2 hours. I can run to the course real quick and hustle and get back.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's funny. So my kids grew up kind of on the disc golf course. So I was really in the thick of it. I'm talking like passionate, like addicted disc golfer. 15, 16 years ago. That was like, and my son's now 14. He was walking, or he wasn't walking. I was carrying him, and I would set him down. Here's a bottle. He'd be drinking the bottle on the fairway, and I'd throw my shot and pick him back up. So yeah, good times, man. So there's a lot of avenues we could take, because the connection here was because of disc golf. Ben had mentioned that at some point you found his content, and what he did as, I don't want to say it's an offshoot of us, but it's something he started and doing on his own path there. And then more recently, through the UDisc avenue, UDisc kind of made a poster like, check this out. Like, Andrew I don't know if you knew this, but they made a post that said Andrew made a mention on, with Marquez Brownlee, the podcast. UDisc is one of his favorite apps. Did you know that?
I didn't know they made the post, but I'm in I think they have an app beta Slack group that
Okay.
I'm in, and Tyler, I believe, is the one I've talked to a couple times there, because I think he does a lot of the Android development. And I'm obviously big into tech, but not only do they have the Android version, but they have a Garmin companion app as well. So I bought Pro on UDisc just for that, because it's really cool to be able to just on my watch leave my phone in my bag and keep my score on my watch. So I like to try and throw some feedback in there.
Yeah, for sure. That's pretty cool. So when we saw that post, obviously there's a connection to a YouTuber, which you also are. I don't know. Would you describe yourself as a YouTuber?
I think at this point the podcast is done pretty good.
Okay.
So maybe I more say I work for a YouTuber.
Okay.
Most of the time.
And that's kind of what I was thinking. I would navigate it that way, but you work for a very famous YouTuber in the 20 million. I mean, there's not many. I don't know. Do we know how many 20 million subscriber channels there are? Like, what percent are you guys in?
I'm not totally sure. It's a very low percentage, but
Okay.
you also have to think YouTube, anybody can upload anything for free. So if you consider every single account that has a video uploaded, then we've got to be in top 0.01% or something like that.
Okay.
But I wouldn't consider all. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that's kind of where I'm getting at, is you're in a small percentage of that. And so you could go down that avenue, talk through what's your experience with that. You could also, we're going to tie it into disc golf. Let's just have a conversation tonight. So we're all here to chat. I'll kind of navigate a little bit, but we're cool to go wherever we want to go with that. So, how did you get involved in what is Waveform podcast? How did you get involved with that?
Sure. So Frisbee is still the start of all of this.
Okay,
I was
cool.
a pretty avid Ultimate player, and Marquez is not just an avid Ultimate player. He is a top 1% Ultimate player. He played for USA Worlds this year in Australia. He's an incredible player. We played together on this professional team in 2013 called the New Jersey Hammerheads, arguably one of the worst teams to ever play in the professional leagues. And I became friends with him then. I had no idea about his channel. I think he was under 1 million at that point. And then we just kept in touch through Ultimate for a while. I had a film degree. I had been working some super base level IT. I'll try and speed the story up a little bit.
No,
but
you're good.
He eventually gets to the point of I think I need to hire someone, because he's been doing it all himself. I did a couple test shoots. I joined the team in 2017. He was at 4 million subs then, and it's been almost 8 years. We have almost 20 people working for us now, 3 or 4 different channels. And one day I pitched a podcast to him, because I hate to say that every YouTuber does a podcast, but it's pretty true. But when I pitched it to him, I wanted it to be a real try at a real podcast. We wanted to go audio only, despite being video people. We really wanted to do it the correct way. And when I pitched it to him, he said, "Cool, you're the co-host." And I was like, "I'm not ready for that, but let's do it." So yeah, that's how Wave.
So how long ago was that approximately?
I think it launched in 2019. I probably pitched it in 2018.
Okay. So about 5 years. That's your full experience with podcasting.
Correct. Yeah.
So would you have described yourself as a talker or conversationalist kind of person before coming into that?
Not one bit.
So were you nervous?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it was benefit that it was no camera. So
true.
Audio only I think that was the best way for us to start. It let us learn how to speak with our words, because we're so visual, but it also let me creep in a little bit.
Yeah, that's interesting. The running joke on the show, and I'm sure as you'll find out today, is people will be like, "Oh, there's Matt talking." Talking is not hard for me. In fact, it's hard for me to not talk, and that's an important thing as well. As you would know, there's both sides of it. So there's a lot of questions I have surrounding that podcast. We're trying to also keep it kind of interesting for some of our show who loves to listen to disc golf and pro talk there, but you don't worry about that. I'm going to ask questions that I think will be interesting, and Josh can do the same thing. So we invited you in as a guest. We set Ben up. this year, like I said, going into next season, like, hey, you line up our guest. I'm not going to ask you what your experience was with him, but I'm curious about when you bring guests into the show. Do you guys bring guests in? And are they in studio or do you do remote guests? I haven't listened to enough.
No, that's fine. Ask as many questions as you want. I'm not offended if you haven't listened to it much. I take zero offense to that. It's tech. It's very different than disc golf. Some people are into both, whatever. But we do have people in. We always prefer to have them in studio because I just think there's less technical difficulties. It's always better when you're face to face with someone. The conversation can flow better. But that's not always like manageable. I had a guest on that I did my first like kind of solo episode. He's the host of this trivia podcast that's incredible. He's in the UK though. I'm not going to fly him over just for that podcast. I did it online. So yeah, we do a little bit of both. Always prefer to get him in if possible, but we generally reach out. We know who we're interested in talking to and who we think would make a good episode. So we generally do the reaching out. People reach out to us to ask to be on it all the time. Very rarely does that have a good connection in it. But I do say if you ever reach out to want to do a collab, you have to show what you can bring to that person's audience, not just like, hey, I want to join your podcast because it's doing numbers and I want to promote myself. That's never going to work.
Yeah, it is an interesting balance. People are going to get a little bit of inside scoop to Staggered Stance tonight, I'm sure, through this conversation. Being in the disc golf world, our subscriber count at whatever it is now, 10,500 on YouTube. That's a whole nother story. It's kind of sat there for a while. We did a name change, all different things. You know how YouTube can be crazy at some point.
Yep.
So we're navigating that. But to the guest interviews, we try to navigate to what you just said. Someone will reach out and be like, hey, we think you should talk about this. We'd love to come on and talk about it. And we say, and this is interesting conversation. I'd be interested in your perspective. You kind of navigate like, is this valuable to our show? Because that's great for you, like free advertising for whatever you want to talk about. But is there equal value? Should you pay to come on and talk about this even, to that point? Like, yeah, if you want to pay, like all that kind of stuff. So do you guys navigate that as well? Do you ever do like, and maybe this is secret, I don't know. Do you ever do paid, like, come on, we're paying you to come on, or they're paying you to come on?
We do not, but I can also say that, and I say this about all of our channels, we're in a super privileged place where we have the audience that it can support, either the audience or the partnerships that it can support us pretty easy. So we're lucky and get to do, things that we really want to do and don't have to think about
Awesome.
I mean, we have to think about the finances sometimes, but for the most part, we get to pick. We're partnered with Vox. They sell our ad space. So we have X amount of ads inside of a video, but we don't have to do, we haven't accepted any paid things.
I think it's also, if I could just follow up on that, Andrew, like that's a unique consideration. I feel like it's a unique consideration for the nature of your content as well. Even to the various channels that, exist out there where you're reviewing tech and the integrity of, your ability to say whatever you want, not worried about what, I think the audience can appreciate that or value that in a different way, as well.
For sure. And what I was talking about there is waveform for the most part on the channel. We do some sponsored things. We've messed around in all sorts of different things. We do like to keep though, we'll never do a review, like a full review that's giving full blown opinions because there's conflict of interest there. And we've done some sponsorships where it didn't work out great. And we take the feedback from the audience and find the best ways to keep trust in that. And there's always times where we kind of break that trust and have to regain it, and it's a constant thing that we're working with at the studio and having conversations about.
That's certainly interesting.
That's interesting too. You just mentioned something that I had in here in my notes that we might have gotten to, and you kind of just mentioned audience feedback. I wonder if there's a difference between, and this is going to sound like crazy, but there's a difference between, large audience and a moderate size audience too. But how much feedback and how do you determine what the feedback is to look at with that? Because if I have if we have 10,500 subscribers and 30 people, one guy says something in the chat or in the comments and 30 people are like, yeah, we agree. Like, is that a number? Does that go into your weekly review meeting where you're like, hey, we should think about this? Or is it like a large percentage before you do that?
I mean, I think there's so many ways to look at it. There's individual comments, how they sound, what the tone is of them. Like, you know what you meant by things, you know how you did things, so you can kind of gauge the difference between if somebody is kind of assuming a bunch and that's why they're potentially upset about something. You can tell when something is there's like critical feedback and just feedback to like push buttons and be mean. So you kind of learn the differences between that and know what's the feedback to take into actual consideration. And then numbers wise, engage in terms of comments and stuff like that. You know, it doesn't matter if it's 10,000 or 1 million. It's like you have X amount of comments you're used to per video. And if like, even though that X amount of comments is generally a pretty small percentage. So like if 50% of your comments are bad, you can still look, there's only 100 comments. That's still probably like 3% of your audience, if you really think about it. So
exactly.
It's a scale on how you do it. And it's all over the place. But I probably read too much feedback to the point where it affects everyday life. I think it's like one of the things I do at the studio that really helps us. But there are times where I wish I read far less on the internet for my own sake.
Yeah, I can relate.
Well, that's funny because we're all different on this show, and we know the scale's different. But Andrew, we have different personalities here too, and probably trying to accomplish different things even on behalf of the show. So yeah, it's just fun hearing you say that because I think Matt would probably be the type who. Well, Matt, what you tell me?
I've roller coastered over the last 5 seasons. Like I've gone from like heavy in the beginning to like get all the feedback, and then kind of like here's what we are, and then it's like all over. So.
That's right. Last week, somebody was upset at the hat I was wearing because we had somebody else on, so you get all the ridiculous stuff.
Product placements and all that. Yeah. So, you guys have a lot of challenges, I'm sure. And the place that you got to, is with a lot of hard work. Can you share this is kind of random, but any funny or unexpected moments that stand out to you or just in general, you could just say, yes, they've happened. Like maybe you can't even recall it.
Sure. I'll tell a story. And we actually made a video about it recently because we were allowed to make the video, and you'll see where I'm going at.
Okay,
but
good.
If no one here or in the audience watches our channel, I think it'll be a fun story. But so I'm driving into the office one day, and I get in the parking lot, and I have this an email that's reads. So we had just done this video on something called the Escobar phone. It's a very long story, but it's these people selling this phone that's like partnered with the Pablo Escobar family. It was really dumb. It was essentially a scam, and we did a video about it, calling it a scam.
Oh, okay.
And I have an email that says Escobar phone from, I don't want to say it, but it was like Special Agent blank with FBI.
Okay.
And so I'm like, this is weird. I'm gonna park. I'm going to read this, and it just says, "Hi, Marquez. This is Special Agent blah, blah, blah with the FBI. I'm in the lobby of the building. We would like to talk to you about the Escobar phone. Please, here's my number." And I look, and like the first thing you do whenever you get an email like that is, what's the domain address? It's at FBI.gov. It looks super legit. And in my mind, instead of messaging Marquez and freaking him out, I'm like, we have like a back entrance to the building. Yep. I'm going to go through the main lobby. If someone's there, I'm going to walk right past them because they don't know who I am. And then we're going to figure out how to deal with this. So I get in the lobby and there's no one there. So I assume somebody had spoofed an FBI like email address, and we're all good. I walk in. This was like right after COVID. So it was only Marquez and I in the office. And I unlock the door, and there's Marquez sitting at this like our lunch table in the middle of the office with 3 people in suits. And he just like waves me over. And I was like, oh boy, what is going on? Long story short, they were super chill, and they were like super interested in what we did as a channel. They did need to take the phone for evidence because it was like they were scamming people. They needed to try and figure out some more information about, what was going on. And they recently, I was like, I'd love to tell this story to Marquez because they asked us to keep it quiet. This was 2020. I actually wound up emailing the same email address and said, "Is there any chance we could tell this?" And he's like, "Let's hop on a call." And he called and he was so amped that we wanted to tell the story. So we wound up telling it on the podcast and making a quick video about it.
Awesome.
And he was like, "Please send it over. I'll like and subscribe." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, this was the weirdest conversation I've ever had."
Well, I will say that episode on Marcus' channel drew me in. I watched that one.
Really?
So
Okay,
I heard
cool.
the story. Yeah. So it's funny, right? There's only so much time I have to consume YouTube, which is usually lunch break at work every day. And it's like, well, I have X number of time and the YouTube algorithm shows me what I might want to watch. And that one worked. So I watched that and I got a kick out of that. And that was like, sounded like it was a fun story to tell.
Sweet. Yeah, that's awesome.
So, yeah, I mean, we joke over the 5 seasons, you know, we've got a good handful of things that have happened even behind the scenes, right? Like you kind of mentioned, you made a story about it now, but behind the scenes, whether it was during a recording, just things that have happened. And it's always funny to be able to have that inside. And someday maybe we can tell some of these things, but I'll just put it this way. In our virtual green room, some epic things have happened that we've had to make policies on. Like we got to kick people, like all that kind of, we got to kick them out. Like people not realizing they're on camera still. And like, just frankly, it's been pretty epic. And we've had some really funny stories to recall of things that are happened. So anyways, moving on. So you work with Marquez. You started with him through Ultimate. He found you and said, "Hey, let's start this up and let's go." Now you said you have 7 or up near 20 people working on different projects across the company and other podcasts. The quality is a very high production thing that you guys are known for, including the podcast as well. You're not doing live in the sense of streaming. You're recording and producing. That's correct.
Yeah, and full editing, and it usually I mean, for what we do, I think the turnaround is really quick. It's usually record on Wednesday at 11, and the audio is done by 4 a.m. on Friday and posted, and then the video usually comes out around noon. So for a 4-camera, 3-camera, 4K setup, I think that's pretty impressive. 5 people talking, but yeah, there's still some turnaround time for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Part of the reason we did live was, one, because it was popular when disc golf was at the age it was. People wanted to join around a conversation. And then 2, it may not be the best production quality, but it was the least amount of work. So I could put in all the work up front and then just hit record and more or less go, we're rolling with it live. We do a little post audio touch up for our post listeners, but not a lot.
It's a whole nother ballgame, and it's a different vibe, right? Like you get a live audience, which is always fun. The way they do chats is really cool. You can interact with people during it. It's different. I think one reason it would be hard for us is the amount of embargoes we have on different tech is very easy to be talking and be like, wait a minute, that's not going to be out by the time this podcast opens. So we would leak so many things accidentally if we did live.
That's funny you say that.
So, that's funny because the embargoes are probably not quite as serious of an issue for us, but we do have sometimes insider knowledge on player like sponsorship conversations, which for some of them are big time contract negotiations, or they don't want to like spill the beans before a marketing announcement. And I think we've had 1 or 2 minor slips in the past, but we're live and it's like, did you just say what you said?
It's
no, you didn't.
Funny. Nick, our other host who's not on here right now. Yeah. We were just having a conversation last year, or it was I don't remember which year it was, off-season talk. And he's like, and now we know that Andrew Marweed is moving to DGA. This is, what do you guys think about that? We're all sitting there going, that hasn't been announced. And now Nick's like straight up asking us on this live show. And we're like, what are you talking about? Like that's not new. Oh, and the funniest part is how Nick starts rewinding on that so quick. Oh man, I don't even know how I thought that. Like he's just super. And so yes, it does happen. When it's live like that, typically I'll just be like, hey, that was live. At the end of this recording, we're just going to clip it out and the post won't have it either. But yeah, to your point, it does happen. So yeah, with the level that you guys are at, I'm sure it would make sense to not do it that way. But yeah,
sometimes that like gains some hype and like winds up being awesome marketing. Because
True.
Everyone's more interested in something if it slipped. Like,
True.
maybe it's not the biggest disc golf name signing somewhere, but if people don't think they're supposed to hear it, they want to share that.
Oh, I think some of the biggest sponsorship news in our sport, I'm almost convinced there's been some intentional leaks, and maybe not, right? Because there can be a downside too, but it's like exactly what you said. The hype gets real. Social media starts getting all in a frenzy about speculation, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. Matt, like I know you're kind of like walking through some stuff, so like rein this in if this isn't the question. But Andrew, I'm curious. So from a disc golf standpoint, we've got such a wide range of people interested in the sport, of course, meaning pure recreational, maybe play 2 or 3 times a year with their family, enjoy the outdoors. Then you've got, individuals who maybe are competitive. Then you've got like trying to compete in maybe the local pro scene. But then you also have this flip side of people who like to play, but they actually just love following the professional scene. Like literally, that's like they watch every tournament on the weekends, live streaming, constantly talking about what's happening. Where are you at in that scale? Are you in multiple buckets, or like are you just casually playing? I mean, I see you have discs on the pegboard behind you, so like you've got some level of interest here.
I got into this because I had like 4 knee surgeries in Ultimate, so I had to stop playing that. Then I got into climbing, and I told myself, I have a couple friends from Ultimate that got into disc golf, and I said, there's no way I can get into disc golf. I see how many discs there are. I like hobbies too much, and I'll dive too hard into it.
Yes.
I was right, and when I finally bit the bullet, it's been that issue. I literally like came home today and had a disc box on my desk. So I am I'm extremely competitive. I think I do a good job at balancing fun and competitiveness, but I am as competitive as I can be for someone who's just spent their first year as a dad and is getting out to the course as much as possible. And I semi-follow the pro scene. There's definitely some players. I follow a lot of content. I think content is not just entertainment. I think it's a way to learn. Being competitive, I want to learn. I've watched so many disc golf videos and follow so many channels.
Yeah, so that's interesting. By the way, I did, again, what do you call it, research. I saw, yes, you signed up for the PDGA, it looks like, this year, played a couple tournaments. That's awesome to see.
Almost as highly rated as me when I played for, 4 years almost.
You're higher, Ben, aren't you?
Barely. I'm 928, and you're 915, just picking it up like last week. What the heck?
I'll come get you. I'll come up to Massachusetts.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
You're competitive. Something will happen at some point, right?
You'll smoke me, Ben.
Ben can throw far, but wait till you see him putt. No,
no, it's true,
and
dude.
Also, you just got a bump in your rating, Andrew, 3, and I saw that you got an ace. Not that long ago. And if I go back to the podcast where you mentioned UDisc, which is, again, my connection to disc golf and you, Ben had another connection. I think one of your hosts, and I don't know their names, again, I don't watch regularly, but your host was like, it felt like he was poking you just a little bit.
I think so.
To be like, sure. Oh, does it record aces? And he kept kind of asking me that. And I'm thinking I didn't know if they like disc golf or not, but it was kind of like it's like a little jab, a fun jab, right? Friendly jab.
For sure.
And then I think, it was right before that you had gotten the ace. So they were kind of playing on that, weren't they?
Yeah, for sure. I think they saw my post on Instagram. It was funny because like, I have 2 aces. Both of them were in this local doubles league. Both of them had ace pots, which is pretty cool. My first 2 aces both won a couple $100.
Nice.
So,
wow.
That was cool. And it's like super exciting for me, but I'm also like a pretty low key guy. So like I like cheered, I high-fived, and then like for me it was like, okay, that was sick. And they're just like, the people I was with were awesome. They were just hyping me up. The first one I ever got, people in that league still talk about it. It was on this like pretty hard hole, and they'll be like, "Oh, Andrew's on my card. Like you hit that ace hole 9 at Kramer's, right?" And I was like, "Is this still being taught?" Like, all right, cool. It was awesome, but okay, cool. But yes.
Yeah, so congrats on that ace. Don't
Thank you.
tell us how many aces you've had. We have a game to play later. We know you have
Oh,
one because I
okay.
just
Yes,
mentioned
we're
it.
gonna judge you.
Well, we'll
Okay,
talk.
cool.
We'll talk about that. We don't want to scare them off too early here. But I did want to ask in relation to you mentioned people talking about an ace that you've had for a while. So we see like Bill Nye the Science Guy. We see Dylan Cease. We see all these like a fair amount of. I think. Why am I having a brain freeze here? He won the Masters. What's his name? Disc
Tiger
golfer.
Woods.
No, disc golfer.
Oh,
Bubba Watson. We could go on and on. There's people that play disc golf. TJ, wasn't it TJ Watt and JJ? They went out and played disc golf in the off season. I'm bringing up like bigger names, right? So like it probably comes as no surprise to you to say like Marquez would be like another name. Wow, he's playing disc golf. Like everyone that does disc golf podcasts would be like, hey Marquez, come on, let's talk disc golf. But you're managing that studio manager. What's your official title over there?
It's so I was the first
Everything.
hire, and my titles changed so many times.
Okay.
I like don't even really have one. I just say producer. at
Okay,
this
producer.
point. I think
You're a
it's the most
producer over there.
blanket term, yeah.
Okay, producer. And because you're in the podcast, it's going to be probably closing in on 500,000 on YouTube at some point here soon. Do people make that connection? Do people on the disc golf course do that? Like, oh, that's cool. Have you found people that are like, oh, wow, we really love what you do? Like that kind of a thing?
I found a few. Some of it is through just general like conversation. Maybe not they know me, but they know the channel.
Right.
I did have someone recently. We were getting ready for a tags match, and a couple of us were throwing at one of the holes, and someone just like turns to me and is like, "Is your name Andrew?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." And he goes, "I recognize your voice." And
yeah, I
was
get
like,
that
"That's
too.
pretty-"
It's weird.
Yeah, he was like, "I haven't like watched many of the videos, but your voice just is too on." Yeah, and so
Cool.
a couple for sure.
Yeah. Cool. And
My
I just
issue
bring
with
it up.
recognizing
Yeah.
my issue with recognizing people's voices on podcasts is I listen to them at like 1.2 speed,
Oh,
and then I meet you in real life, and I'm like, I recognize your voice, but something's wrong.
Yeah,
You're
I
talking too
shouldn't say,
slow.
I don't mean it's weird in like a bad way, but like it just create. I've had that too, where people
Yeah.
say I recognize your voice, and if there's actually genuine, and they're saying like they recognize, I just think it's like the coolest thing ever.
It's really
like
neat, yeah.
just to put that connection that
yeah.
you hear
Sure.
someone speak and have that like just like spark in your head go.
That must be
Wait
cool for
a
them.
second.
And I don't want to, I'm not trying to say we're on a pedestal at all. I'm just saying it must be cool because I have podcasts that I listen to. And if I was sitting in a crowd, like I went down to USDGC and I was talking to my kids and someone's like, huh? Is that Matt Graham's voice I hear? I'm like, okay. But like, if I had heard whoever, I actually like listening to, you'd recognize probably the channel, maybe you don't, Smarter Every Day, Destin Sandlin. I listen to his podcast that he does. And if I was in anywhere and I heard his voice, it would be pretty cool. So like, I think that is pretty cool. So I was just curious if you're getting bombarded, like, are people like, cool, I want to be your best friend because now you play disc golf.
No, and there's still a lot of ultimate players around too. So
Okay.
most of the time I meet people as like old people I used to play with.
Cool.
Well, Matt,
yeah.
I don't know where
Go
you're
ahead,
taking
Josh.
us, but I don't want to breeze by. You said you consume content.
Mhm.
So, and it's interesting. You talked about turnaround time for post-produced stuff. I'm curious what content you're consuming. Like one of the premier channels in our sport for the last like how many years? Like 8 years or whatever is Jomez Pro, which they really changed the game for turnaround time on post-produce. Literally, an event would end at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and it would be up next morning by 8 a.m. But anyway, just curious. What content you're consuming when you say that? Is it clips scrolling social media, or is it YouTube, or where's that at?
I mean, I follow quite a few people on Instagram. Ben being one of them. Best Instagram page out there.
Yeah.
But it's too many aces on Ben's. I have to log
Honestly,
off
yeah.
at sometimes, or
I
I'm
know.
getting jealous.
It's
Too many, baby.
It's been a good run.
But mostly YouTube. So like I said, being competitive, I like to get I really want to get better, and I feel like the more every hobby I've ever done, I've watched videos on it so if I'm not doing that hobby, I feel like I'm getting better when I have time, obviously.
Right.
And so yeah, Jomez is awesome. I agree that their post production is like on another level. But But Jay Miller's the first recommended disc golf channel I ever got on YouTube. Once I started liking it, that's how I found Ben and
that's
Funzy and
sick.
everything.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Bedanza's out there. I think Another Round Disc Golf's YouTube channel is fantastic, and I thought that before Nathan started, and he's just making that channel even better. I mean, Foundation. I have so many different ones that I watch. Broderick. That's actually the disc I just got. I was talking about is his Firebird. So all of them up there. I really think it's interesting, and disc golf content on YouTube in general is still really new, and I think still relatively small. So I think that's why I started like reaching out to some channels and being like, I'd love to just jump on a quick call and help you guys out a little bit. I think it's fun. If you want to send me some discs, that's cool too. But like I've reached out to a few because I was like, it feels like this is anyone's game right now. You know, you have Jomez up there, you have Simon up there, but he's still a pro first and content's not his first thing. Foundation's probably the only like almost 100% content channel, even though they have the store associated with it. And now like Bedanza, Jay Milley still has a full. So I think it's so new that it's really anyone's game right now, and there's a lot of people doing really cool stuff. I think six-sided discs, Greg. I know Ben. You just talked to Greg. He's an awesome guy.
I did.
I think the like Flight Numbers Don't Matter series is one of those like series for disc golf that maybe isn't like a Bedanza where you really get to know someone, but it's like encyclopedia-esque important for disc golf and information on the internet. And I think that's an awesome niche to find. True.
Yeah. Disc golf content galore, but to your point, it's still new enough that it's anybody's game. I like hearing that. Yeah. So, but see, I'm stuttering here because what's interesting, even for the last few years, though, you'll hear people that are, I don't want to say in the know with disc golf, but a lot of people felt it was oversaturated, and big voices like Brody Smith. Yeah, it's oversaturated. We've heard a lot of people talking about this. Like it's hundreds of them. And it's like, yeah, but there's only going to be a few who stand out in the game. And that's your point. And it's anybody's game in that sense.
So I would disagree with that. But
okay,
yeah,
good.
I don't think
I mean,
it's oversaturated.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear from your perspective on that. How do you, I guess where I'm getting is you have a disc golf course near you, I'm assuming in New Jersey, because I looked at tournaments you've played. And is it Tecumseh? Is that how you say it?
Tecumseh, yeah.
Is that your home course?
It is, yeah. There's one a little closer to me. It's called Kramer's Creek, but it's like a 10-hole, like no holes farther than 300. That was my when my daughter was first born and she would take a 2-hour nap. That was like I could get to that course and back before she woke up. So I played so much there. But Tecumseh is my home course. It is incredible. It is such a good course. I know everyone loves Stafford. I haven't gotten to play it yet, but I know like a lot of friends that play it, and I know quite a few are like they still like Tecumseh better.
Okay, and I was going to say,
well, you better hurry up for Stafford because
I have to get down there.
It's going bye.
Is it official? Like, as in, like I know that was the whole Save Stafford Woods, but is it official?
In terms of the Facebook group, there's definitely been a few posts within the last couple months that seem pretty grim. But every time there's that post, that feels like it's within the next month. It's 2 months later and it's still there. So who knows? I'm hoping it stays around forever, but it feels like you're right, Ben. I need to get down there. Is what I'm trying to say.
Is it actually down there for you? I don't know. Are you located in North New Jersey?
Yeah. Do you guys know the like Central Jersey debate?
I've traveled through Jersey a few times.
Okay. So no. So I mean, I'm more north of it. It's like an hour and a half south of me. It's like a little outside of Philly.
Okay. Yeah, I got down to Stafford Woods last year, first time, and probably last time, I guess. But it was a good experience. But I looked up Tecumseh is number 2, so it's going to become number 1 in New Jersey, maybe.
Well, it's hard to celebrate it, but at the same time, I hope it gets some recognition.
I was going to say, maybe it's you guys, the Tecumseh loyalists, that are the real reason Stafford Woods is going under.
No. The reason Tecumseh is great, though, is because John, who runs that, it's also a Salvation Army camp, so it does have some weird hours sometimes, but he maintains that course impeccably. So many new baskets and tee pads going in all of the time. The tournaments they run there are fantastic. it is like the staff he has for the actual camp is working on the disc golf course because he plays as well. And it's just a beautiful, really fun, hard but not too hard course. I can't praise it enough.
Awesome. See, we're going to get into Judge That Disc Golfer in a little bit. Anybody else have any like other questions because the questions I want to still ask are going to be leading for Judge That Disc Golfer. So anything related to not that, go ahead.
I'll ask a quick question, and then I know Josh you has probably some really good questions he wants to ask as well. But I want to ask a question kind of more so about just you in general in disc golf. What brands have you been kind of relying on recently, and what
this
molds?
To be clear, this is set up for Judge That Disc Golfer. So that's what I'm saying, Ben. Tread a
there you
little
go.
bit
Well,
lightly, but this is good. This is set up. We want to know as much as we can.
Well, yeah.
here, so,
Well,
okay.
we won't talk about. I'm just curious new molds that you're kind
go
of
ahead. That's good.
leaning on more and more that you've been really enjoying.
Sure. My like disc golf journey of discs has been kind of weird because the friends from Ultimate that got into it for a while got really, really good. One of them, Zach Tassone. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Yeah, of course.
Very, very good.
He's nasty.
Yeah. And then my other friend, Bo, they're both really good, and they're the ones who kind of taught me how to play, and they throw super overstable, which like feels the opposite of what an Ultimate player should be doing because a lid is so understable. So like getting in, they just gave me all this really overstable stuff, and it was really hard to throw for a while. And I think I've gotten into it kind of weird where I'm just now discovering more understable stuff. But for the most part, MVP and Innova, I obviously have a zone because of course, and I putt with PA3s, but almost everything else in my bag. I like to mess around with other discs, but I almost always find myself coming back to Innova and MVP.
Cool. Appreciate it. Yeah, same. Mostly Innova for me, just because it's the cheapest for their factory store. So that's just what I've naturally done because I lose.
Fridays are so good.
Yeah, FT Fridays and their flash sale's about to come up soon. Oh my goodness, I'm waiting for that.
Ben, why do you need so many discs, Ben?
Because I lose so many. I've probably lost thousands of dollars worth of discs.
That is an interesting
years.
topic. In some way, that's a really interesting topic. Let me go to Andrew. You've been playing how long now? I forget. You said like a year, 2 years?
A year and a half. Yeah.
Okay. How many discs? Not counting like in a pond. Ponds are kind of a separate thing. You can't get them back usually. Sometimes they come back, but you actually like lost a disc. You threw a disc, you lost it. How many would you say? Just a rough number.
10 maybe.
Okay. Wow. In a year and a half. Okay.
I think that's pretty high.
Yeah, that is. But you know what? I think there's a percentage this like, I don't know if bell curve's the right word.
I lost 10 this week.
10 this week.
But hold on. We were just talking leaves too before you came on.
I heard that conversation. I was playing a doubles match, and I feel like half of our match, it was like 2 weeks ago. It was before we finally got the one day of rain, was those leaves. I threw this shot on a really hard hole at Tecumseh, and it was the greatest shot I've ever thrown. We spent 20 minutes, like, I kept telling my cards, stop looking for it, but they were all like, that was the greatest shot I've ever seen. We need to find where this is. And we gave up after 20 minutes and came back with a leaf blower later and wound up. Someone was like, I will drive home. I want to see where that disc landed. And got his leaf blower, and we found it. But
where was it?
It was dead center fairway. Like, it was an incredible shot, and we just could not find it.
No,
so I talked about this last year, and people didn't like my take because they felt like, I think it was Nick. It's like part of the game. I'm like, there should be some version of the rule that doesn't penalize you for losing a disc when it was thrown so perfect in the middle of a fairway just because of leaves. Like, that's not your fault. Like, if it's landing perfect, like, that's literally nothing wrong with it except that you got unlucky and it's under a leaf. You can't find it. But no one liked that take, and I don't know how you'd enforce it, but
it would be very hard.
Yeah, the group has to decide. Which some of the rules are that way. But anyways, that's a separate topic. But you said 10, but I think exponentially that changes as you, I don't want to say as you get better, but also as your brain starts dialing in, I don't want to lose discs. Like, I noticed that when I brought my kids disc golfing with me when I was, years ago, because you'd have to track where yours was and theirs was, because you realized how much time was wasted looking for discs. your brain just started being like petrified. It's like, I have to mark where everything is. And like you end up being really good after every throw of mental marks. And so I think it starts going down after a while, Andrew. So if you lost 10 in the first year and a half, I think you'll do better from here on out.
We'll see. I'm that guy who like throws and it's a bad throw and immediately put my head down and start like under my breath and then like look up and go, oh man, I'm never gonna find that.
Yeah, that's horrible. That's horrible. Hey, side note, and I'll just bring you in on this conversation, Andrew. Maybe you don't want to have talk on disc golf and rules, but I just remembered it, and I feel like before we get into the game with Andrew, we should talk about it. I had this idea. It could be really bad, but it could also possibly work. So you've played a PDGA event, so you know now the PDGA live scoring app. You can do paper still, but the preferred method is the digital scoring, and most people are pulling out a phone and tracking it that way. So I had this thought and idea, and I don't know how familiar you are with this conversation, Andrew, but the time violation. Gannon has kind of been well known for taking extra time before he throws. You're only supposed to get 30 seconds from the time that, and I forget again how the rule reads, but it's some kind of detailed vague, like when the playing area is clear and ready, like then your time starts and you've addressed you've had reasonable amount of time to address your lie. So who knows when the clock starts? That's kind of my point. So I had this idea, Josh, Ben, Andrew. Nobody's going to want to do this, but we have the tool. It's there, the phone. Give it to a caddy or someone else. Everybody hits a button on that phone when they think that player should be ready to throw, and it would start a clock. Now here's why I'm saying that though, everybody, because the first person might go, oh, it's free, clear, ready, he's had a reasonable amount of time, but not everybody else thought that. So it doesn't start until the last person, the third person in your group, pushes the button, and then the clock starts. I know, like, it sounds wild, but I feel like that's a group decision on it, and as opposed to one person saying, oh, I think you took too long, and then someone else has to be like, I didn't track with the clock, so you know what I mean? Anyways, just throwing it out.
Yeah, no, I'd say my first thing is like, I do think that people should be less worried about calling time violations. Like, it's a rule. We're all following the rules, and everyone can do it in a situation where it's courteous and you're not just like immediately trying to take strokes. I don't think that's how the rule works anyways. My only gripe on the phone thing would be like, and maybe this is just my first tournament, I was super worried and I was asking my friends like basic etiquette. And my one really good friend, Kate, was like, generally she was like, I don't like looking at my phone during the play. So like, I don't take my phone out until we were at the next hole and then we go over the scores. So I like have been very strict about keeping my phone in my bag until we are getting ready for the next throws. I don't like taking it out right after the basket. I like giving myself that time to walk to the next hole and like think about how I played the hole, whether it was good or it was bad. How do I do better at it? So if I had to take my phone out every single time every person threw to like have a timer, I probably wouldn't love that, but
I agree. And that's why it's a bad idea. But in my head, I was like, it would wait till the other three players thought it was the time start. Like, I don't know how else to accomplish that. And right now, I don't like the arbitrary, if somebody's going to call a rule for a $20,000 payout or a $35,000 payout, I just don't like it being relied on that somebody's saying the time ran out and everyone has to kind of guess at it. I don't like that.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. Probably at that level, one of the observers, or I don't know what they're.
And that's kind of what they're doing. But then the conversation, I'm going to cut this off in just a second. But then the conversation leads to, oh, well, there's only an official on the lead card. So the chase card doesn't have that. And so then it's unfair. And it's a very interesting conversation that we're navigating in disc golf right now because we can't have officials on every card and timers and all that. So,
yeah.
Anyways. Thank you for listening to my good idea, bad idea. I think we did a segment like that once. I think we did. We have to go back in the history books here of the show. We did a good idea, bad idea. You could share your idea, but it was like a good idea, but it never would work. It's just a bad idea.
Stuff like that is great, like off-season content. I mean, we kind of in tech have like an off-season, which is just essentially Q3 ends and no one wants to release a product. So right now we're in this like, we are making up games as we go on like things. It's like, I want everyone to tell me like an app that they would really like to make and we all pitch it and have conversations and stuff like that is like really good podcast content.
And like, I mean, I actually work
You
kind
do?
of in the fine. Yeah, I actually work. in
It just
I work in
stops.
the finance industry, but on the tech side. So mostly developing internal tech apps, not like public facing stuff,
Mhm.
but kind of in the AI space, etc. But what's funny is Matt, you joke, and Andrew, you kind of mentioned it's good podcast content, but sometimes that's the best brainstorming, because what happens is you like throw around absurd ideas. You realize they're absurd, but then all of a sudden you stumble across like a real nugget that you can draw out, and like some of the best innovations happen that way. So I think it's interesting.
We've had jokes at the studio that have led to full main channel videos before of like just messing around and then wait a minute, there's some validity to that, and like flesh it out more. So yeah.
Yeah. So I, since you're here with us and we consider you a successful expert in this space, when I say this space, talking mostly about tech, media, etc. When you look at, you kind of mentioned this earlier a little bit, but when you look at disc golf media, is there, and maybe the answer is no, but I'm curious, is there anything that stands out that you'd be like, hey, if I were, a consultant or an advisor for media in the industry, right? I'm not talking about a particular channel, but like, is there anything that you'd be like, hey, this industry should consider this?
Yeah,
from
are
a
we
media
talking like
standpoint?
independent like content, like
I
channels and
think
stuff like that, or
independent
B2B2?
content's probably what I'm talking about, but I am kind of thinking of the collective, but I think mostly independent.
I think almost everyone needs to work on packaging, titles and thumbnails. Sorry, I stumbled a little there. But I think there are so many good channels with so much good content and so many good pros making stuff, and the thumbnails are just absolutely lost in the sea of YouTube. There's a bunch out there. That's a lot of times when I reach out to someone, I'm like, man, I found this channel that's so good, but nobody's gonna click on this. So I've multiple times reached out to different people and like given them a little bit of advice and saw them improve it super well. Other than that, I think I understand that pros have so much they have to focus on, but pro channels I think would be awesome. Like Ezra and Goose are doing a great job at it right now. Simon's I wish was more, but I think if some of those companies that were working for them put a little effort into helping them grow their channels, it's only marketing for them. So why can't, I mean, MVP does it a little bit. I think they did some practice rounds with Eagle and Simon not too long ago. I think some of the companies should be working in that because it's only going to benefit both sides. The bigger you are, YouTube sells. I would probably argue you could sell more stuff if you're big on YouTube than if you're the best player in the world. I wouldn't doubt if Bedanza is selling more discs than like half of the Pro Tour because he has a super loyal audience in that. So yeah, I would love to see some people supporting those pros so they can get more content to more eyes.
But packaged better too.
And packaged well, so people actually. I always say you can have the best video on YouTube. If nobody clicks it, it doesn't exist. So
it's true.
You need to get somebody to it first.
It's true. This gets into the weeds a little bit for people who aren't into this, whatever you want to call it, content creation. But how often over there are you changing out thumbnails and titles? Like, hey, we'll try this one, we try that one. How often are you doing that?
Not too often,
Okay.
but in certain scenarios, if we just feel like something's really flatlined or we think of sometimes it's just straight up, we thought for a while, it goes out, and then like 4 hours after it's up, it's like, oh man, this would have been such a better title. So very few scenarios like that will do it. And there is, I don't know if it's available for everyone, but there's A/B testing for thumbnails, although that feature is terrible. It really doesn't tell you anything as far as I'm concerned, but
cool.
I got a question. What has been the coolest thing? We get cool things like, discs sent to us. I mean, I just got a nice pair of Vessies sent to me for some reason. Not sure who's
looking it up.
Yeah. So, which I appreciate. Thank you,
Awesome.
Jono. And Andrew, if you had a hand in that, I appreciate it. But where I'm going with that is you probably have a lot more cooler things sent to you for free. what is the coolest thing you've ever got for free just because of the channel or the podcast, or if you
To
have
be
like
clear,
a few
though,
things where you're like, this was so cool.
To be clear, and I want to give credit where it's due, it's not really for free. You've done so much work to get to that point. But yes, I get the sentiment.
No, I
get the
super
sentiment.
appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of people are like, it's just for free. He didn't do anything. It's like Marquez spent 15 years.
Yeah,
building
exactly.
this from
No, but
No, Ben,
I mean,
We
just
know
like,
the sentiment, Ben. We know the sentiment, but I just wanted to put it
yeah,
out there.
I know that. I know, but I'm just saying, because of these things, you get like I'm sure you've been sent a phone before for free. Like you.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about Marquez. I'm talking about
our phone.
I'm talking about Andrew. Only Andrew. No Marquez. Marquez doesn't exist.
I'll be nerdy here, and none of you guys might be interested in this, but I got super into mechanical keyboards for a bit.
Okay.
And it all started with this one.
Ooh, I can see it.
It's like a extremely rare like artisan keyboard from this company, which kind of got me into it. And then in that process, this German company that builds extremely unique keyboards called Geist Machine sent over not just their keyboard that's like $1,500 and extremely $1,500 for just the base and the like components. I still like built it with, you still have to buy switches and keycaps and all the fun stuff to build it. He built the first ever 1-of-1 edition because he likes the channel, so he made it completely matte black, completely custom, 1-of-1. It's like a 15-pound keyboard because the thing holding it up is pure copper. It's this really, really unique item that is like such a cool piece that we have at the office.
So just real quick on that, because obviously it's interesting to you too. Cool that you got it. Mechanical keyboard. I just did a quick search on that. Describe just generally what is a mechanical keyboard.
It's kind of, so keyboards when they were built previously have these very specific switches where essentially the keycap is connected to a stem that pushes down and physically presses a metal leaflet.
Mm-hmm.
When companies started realizing those were too expensive, as computers get bigger, they built these things called membrane keyboards, which are really not fun to type on. They're really mushy and not cool, but they're so cheap. So that's like the default $10 keyboard you get on with whatever computer you buy. And now we're at laptops with these like scissor switches, but mechanical is like a very specific, very tactile way. And there's so much customization you can do because you can change out the switches, you can change out the keycaps, you can do all these different things to make a typing experience better. It's like Legos, but something I get to use every day.
I think yours is mechanical.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
We can hear that.
Well, I listened to the Waveform podcast where you're talking mechanical keyboards. I'm like, huh? And then like ceramic coatings and wearing it out. And I'm looking at my keyboard. I'm like, oh man, it's like a mess. But
it's niche. But remember that thing I said about hobbies before? It's
yeah.
Well, Andrew, I maybe this resonates with you because I've long said one of my hobbies is trying out hobbies. Yeah, and now, I mean, spread out over years. I'm not literally just trying to try them, but I'm like, I can have a lot of like medium depth conversations with a lot of people because I've been like, oh, I used to be a skateboarder. Oh, I'm into fine scale modeling. I'm disc golf. I'm like podcast. I collect coins. It's like whatever the hobbies are, everything from sports.
I make hot sauce.
Like, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, I'll have to.
Marquez has been on hot ones twice.
Okay,
if you want to go find those, they're pretty good. I've tried the gauntlet before; it's a rough one.
Hey, well, on this show, Ben has eaten one of those.
Oh my
chips.
goodness,
the chips,
the one chip.
And
wait, I have to do it before the year ends. I gotta do it once a year.
And we're probably slightly going off the rails, but you know Ben, and he's sitting here eating that hot chip, and then next thing you know, the camera like pans over, and he's literally pouring a water bottle all over his actual face. Like,
but
he's, like,
Andrew,
on the show.
I don't see for some reason, either because I'm laughing so hard, I don't see, and Ben's in studio with me, not right now. I moved recently and the studio changed, but.
So sad. I want to go back, Mac. Come on, open up the stew.
Ben was like over here and over my shoulder. So when I'm laughing, I didn't see him pouring water on himself. And then the camera, I look back up on and see the multi-view and I see Ben just dripping. And I literally lose my mind. Ben, is it
He's
that
sweating.
hot? Like, I can't even believe it's just pouring off his face. And someone's like, dude, he just poured water on himself, but I didn't see it. So it's just really funny how that all played out. But yeah, so we all have hobbies. Sounds like a good time.
Thank you.
In
My
all
hobby's
seriousness,
eating hot chips.
Andrew, I know we're all busy and everything, but if you ever come up to play Maple Hill or hang out with Ben or anything, like I'm in between Marshall Street and Maple Hill. Like I could throw a par 5 to Maple Hill, so we should get in around. So
Well, I'm trying to get him up to the expo.
As far as I'm concerned, I will be at the expo.
Oh, sweet.
But obviously, as having a
yeah,
pretty young kid, I will not fully commit to it. But
right.
I've already
Two of us
talked
on the
about
show
it.
fully understand that with
Okay.
children.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
Yes,
even
so-
next year sometime, even we'll smoke some meat, play some disc golf.
That's- I have family in Beverly, so
Oh,
I go up there. Actually, you can probably see my treehouse.
Treehouse.
Right
Mm.
here.
Yeah.
You guys, that is a gem. You are lucky.
Mhm.
You
well,
guys,
so
some of the best beer ever.
yeah, that, yeah. Beverly, my sister and brother-in-law lived up there for a while too, so like
Awesome.
familiar. But anyways, yeah, if you're ever coming through and want to play, Ben and I'm sure would be happy to give you your first round at Maple Hill, and we
Yeah,
can
that'd be
food
sick.
and whatever. So, all right. Well, I think we've made it to this point. We're not going to close it out. We're actually going to jump into a segment that old time, long time listeners are going to be like nostalgic and love. So let's see if I set this up right. We haven't done it in a while. So it is a segment called Judge That Disc Golfer.
Judge That Disc Golfer. The game show where you judge a disc golfer you've never met.
Okay, so I have the
Have you
camera.
ever played Jackbox? Sorry to interrupt. That is
Jackbox.
like very Jackbox X.
Yes, so it's probably my brain kind of decided to do
Jackbox
that.
game. That's funny. I never realized that.
Really good, yeah.
Okay, so let me see here because I threw this together right before because we haven't done it in a while. But I want to adjust
Yeah,
this.
Andrew, you just gotta extend your neck a little bit like this.
I'm
No,
gonna
Matt,
do
that's moving it. This is live production.
live production. I'll just leave the score where it's at for now. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, so typically where this segment came from was way back. It was me and another host, and because I lived near Maple Hill, I would go sit at hole 18, and people that I've never met before, I'd be like, do you mind if I ask you some questions on camera? Like, and they'd be like, for what? And I'm like, just disc golf questions. That's it. And we're going to have hosts try to guess the answers that you give. After a while, we started doing to live versions. We'd have people from our listener audience call in and we would judge them live. So what it sounds worse than it is. It's just for the name of the show or the name of the segment. It's actually typically a lot of fun. And so the listeners right now, viewers, are going to be guessing along, as well as people driving around in their cars tomorrow at work listening. They're going to be trying to judge Andrew. So we've got a list of questions. We've already kind of got to know you a little bit. So we know you better than the average Judge That Disc Golfer. But we're going to start with, you are a member of the PDGA. Do you know your PDGA number? I know the range, but what do you know it?
I know like the first three numbers. I
Okay.
think.
I think it's like, let me see, I have it up here. 280.
I think it's
730.
280. Yeah.
So 280,730, which that boom.
That's
Most of us
almost
who've been in the sport
100,000
for a
more
long
than me.
time, that's like crazy, Andrew, right? They're mostly sequential. I'm like 41,000.
I've played
I'm
it a lot.
181,257.
Wow.
So you're 100,000 higher than me.
We have in Massachusetts, like number 40. He lives here. So like, that's a fun round.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, so you didn't really know your number. This is all part of our like investigation here for the questions we're going to ask in a minute.
Sure.
Do you know your rating?
I do.
Your current rating?
I think so.
Okay. What
I'm
is
pretty sure. 915.
it? It is 915. All right.
That
So
I will always know.
you get points. All right. So your number, we used to ask, is your number higher or lower than 100,000? I think we need to move that up now to 200,000. We've gotten some numbers in there recently. So you played tournaments. I can see a list of them here. Do you know off the top of your head what your best finish is and in what division that would have been?
I think it was. Wait, I'm supposed to say it. Right?
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Sorry. Okay, I think it was tied 7 in MA1 at Tecumseh,
Okay.
or tied 9.
Yes,
I
9.
forget.
Yep,
Okay.
9 and MA1.
Mhm.
So pretty good. You do have an 8th place finish in May. Or is that a league?
That's
Tags.
that's league.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
league.
probably
That's league.
tags.
Okay. So in tags, you have an 8th place there. And then in MA2, you have a 3rd place finish. And
Yeah,
that
with
was
like 6 people in the division.
August. Okay.
Hey, that's all right. My only win is like a flex tournament against like 2 people, and it's still on my record forever that I have a win.
Take it.
That's fun. Let's see, what else do we have to get to figure out here? On an average round, and I guess you're most often, is it true you're most often playing Tecumseh? Is that what you were saying? You have another closer course or not? Like,
Yeah, I'd say most often I'm playing
Okay.
the little 10-hole course called Kramer's,
Okay.
but Tecumseh is the like 18 I play.
okay. At that local course, the 10 hole, are those holes like, quote, kind of easy? Do you feel that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So on this easy 10 hole course, on average round, you usually shoot under par.
Yeah.
Okay. How far would you say under par?
Average,
Yeah.
like 4 or 5.
Okay, 4 or 5. And if you were to play Tecumseh, do you shoot under par?
Depends on the layout, but yes, usually.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
915 shooting under par. Pretty good. What's a hobby besides disc golf that you enjoy? We already talked about some. So
yeah, we talked about. Yeah.
what would be the one at the top of that list?
I'll throw watching hockey.
Oh, okay. Good.
Big ice hockey fan. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite disc golf professional?
James Proctor.
I was hoping Ben he'd say
Ooh.
Gannonburg. James Proctor. Cool. He just took the record this year for the best Circle 2 putter. Incredible putting year that he's had. Yeah.
If it were FPO though, Ella Hansen, she's a former Ultimate
Mhm.
player and great player.
So
Ella, friend
before
of the
we
show.
before we go any further, Andrew, to give you some more incentive why you should come to the show, James Proctor has verbally told me he's coming to.
Hey, that's the
Disc
same as
East
Andrew, verbally.
yeah,
this year.
yeah.
So I'm not officially saying he's there, but he told me to my face he will be there. So
Cool.
there you go. You can meet James Proctor.
So you can introduce him to me.
I will.
Introduce me to him. Sorry.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay. All right, we're getting into the portion here where you're not going to give your answer. You will think of your
Okay.
answer, mentally lock it in, hold it there. We're going to guess.
Sure.
So don't give me an answer yet, but have you ever measured, you can answer this question, but don't give me the number. Have you ever measured the distance of your throw? You can tell me yes or no.
Yes.
Okay, you have measured it. How did you measure it? Do you remember? Was it just like line of sight? There's a T sign, rangefinder. Like, how did you measure it? Rangefinder.
Rangefinder.
Okay. Was it on flat ground? Do you remember? Like generally flat? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So it sounds like he might actually have a number here. So that helps us kind of dial in maybe where you'll go with this. So don't give us the number. Everybody playing along. Here's the first question. Everyone remembers it. How far can you throw a disc? So think of that number, lock it in. Ben, have you asked him this question before?
Dude, I'm literally thinking right now, I don't even know how Andrew throws. I'd love to see like how he even throws.
I'll send you
his
something
form.
later, Ben. Yeah. But
Yeah.
also real quick, are you doing like a max throw recorded or like an
So
average throw?
this comes up every question, and I usually answer with, this is part of the game. We're
cool.
not going to define for you how you answer that because we're kind of judging who you are as a
Cool.
person. So we're going, is he going to give us his max? Like,
Yeah,
so
is he going to give us internet distance or is he going to give us conservative golf
So-
I'll give you an
distance?
ultra specific answer for it. and
yeah.
you
So
need to
how
know
far
what
can you throw a disc? Lock it in. Let me know when you got a number.
Yep. Good.
Okay, he's got a number locked in. Josh, we'll start with your. What do you think? What's he going to say?
355.
I'm going to say, because of his ultimate background, he can throw. I've seen ultimate players that can rip a disc. It's a new learning game of like nose angles and all that, but they know how to throw. I'm going to give him at least. Ben, you're going to take the over. We're going to have to switch the order here. I know you are. I'm going to say 375.
Well, I was gonna go with 380. So
of course you were. That's what I'm saying. Yo.
no, in my before
Okay,
I was
cool,
gonna
cool,
go 380 before.
Well, unless he said 375. So, all right. Answer the question, Andrew. How far can you throw a disc?
My very specific throw I thought that I range found was like my first tournament, and I just crushed this wild honey once, and it was everyone was like range find that it was 425.
425. So Ben, you got it.
That is
That's
awesome.
not all the time.
That's
but I was
fine. No
very
disclaimers.
proud of
That's
that
awesome.
throw in a
I should have
tournament.
known. I peaked. Tecumseh's layout was over 8,000 feet, and he threw under par like on that tournament. So
Yeah.
you can throw far.
Dude, he's so good for no reason. What's the secret?
For no reason.
For no reason.
The secret
None
is
at all. Just randomly
Absolutely
good.
crush YouTube content.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
Dude, and that's
do
something
better.
that's something I haven't been doing, bro. YouTube emailed me and said we might take you off their monetization, so I got to upload a video before that happens.
That's probably not a problem that they're dealing with over there, Ben. Okay. All right, here we go. If your average disc golf round was described by using names of candy, what would it be? We'll give you options. These are your options. Your average round. Hot tamales, Rocky Road, Laffy Taffy. I always laugh at that one. Mr. Good Bar, or Payday. So there's a lot of options there, but do any of those stand out to you? Lock it in. Hot tamales, Rocky Road, Laffy Taffy, Mr. Good Bar, or Payday. I guess I will go first. We'll keep the rotation here. Let me know when you got it locked in.
Sure, locked.
All right. His average round. Now, is it unfair, Josh? We talked about doing pre-show research. You know how you said if you do it, it kind of counts. You did your research.
that's
I
my
looked at his
opinion.
holes by hole at Tecumseh for that tournament because he shot a 960 something round in his last round. He had like 7 birdies in there, but he also had a fair amount of bogeys. Like you look at the first round, it was like half bogeys, half birdies, or maybe not. It was thirds, bogeys, pars, birdies. So that leads me to feel like I want to say he's going to say Rocky Road. That's where I'm landing. Ben.
I wanted to say Payday because he makes money when he aces, but I don't think he'd say that's his game. So I'm gonna go. Oh, but then he's too humble to say hot tamale. Dang it! I
That's
didn't think
why,
about
I
that.
didn't do that.
What was the other ones?
If it's not Hot Tamale or Payday, Rocky Road, Laffy Taffy, Mr. Good Bar.
I'm going Rocky Road. That sounds like an Andrew
Of
answer.
course you are. You're just going to try to stay ahead of me.
I mean, that's what I thought, but that's because I was envisioning. Andrew says he's the type who throws it off the tee. If it's not a great throw, he immediately is upset and looks down and doesn't follow his disc. And I'm like, that sounds like a
That's
Rocky
me.
Road performance. But I feel silly saying the same answer, but that's what I had in mind.
The other option would be Mr. Good Bar, but we're going to all lock in Rocky Road. What is it, Andrew?
Yeah, that's what I would say. Although I would also argue that is ice cream and not a candy.
Oh,
As far as I know, right?
maybe.
Yeah,
I think that might have
100%.
came up before.
I literally was thinking the same thing. I didn't want to say
you're
anything,
right.
but I was like,
Hold on.
I'm just saving you from the comments later.
Hold
I wanna
on.
make sure we're
I
all
just-
on
I
the
did
same
a
it's
search.
page.
Rocky Road.
There's a candy on Amazon
Is there?
right now called Rocky Road Candy Bars. 20
Which is
bucks.
probably a remake of
Yeah.
the ice cream, I'm sure.
Thank you for saving me, and hopefully
No.
people realize I was just trying to save myself. They're like, no, you're wrong. It's still ice cream, but at least I could find a candy bar.
I like Ben's idea of the Payday because of the ace pots, but he's
Yeah.
way more creative than I am.
Yeah,
so
that
I
was
didn't
good.
do that.
All right.
And yeah, I thought that would have been the best answer, but I didn't think you thought of that.
I thought of something you didn't, but it was better than what you thought. Okay.
No, but like he's big money Manganelli.
Big money man. Okay, cool.
It's right,
By the
Manganelli.
way, Andrew, you might find this interesting, or you're very familiar with this and you've done it yourself. AI, whatever platform you probably choose to use. I was like, hey, tell me about Marquez Brownlee.
Mhm.
And it's like, boom. And it's like, and I'm like, hey, he does a podcast. And it's like, yeah. And it brought you up as one of the points. It's like, this is like his studio manager or whatever. And then I said, oh, so I said, Andrew. And it's like, yeah, I said, can you tell me more? Like, I'm going to be talking to him later. And it starts just breaking out all these things. Maybe you should ask him about this and that and all these different things. But one of the things it pointed out, and that's why I'm bringing this up, is it's like, it gave your full name. And then it said also, like, you can call him Andrew or Ellis in quotes. Is Ellis a nickname?
No, Ellis is one of the other producers on the show.
Oh,
and
that's
just, like,
super funny.
typical AI, like
Yeah.
being right while also being super wrong at the
Yeah.
same
Okay.
Well, I know you all think.
I'm glad I didn't
that large
come out.
language
What's up,
models are
Ellis?
overrated, but anyway,
I'm glad I didn't do that. Okay.
that's funny.
So, all right. If you were ready to hit the tour, what brand would you choose as your main sponsor? And we're going to give you options, but because I know you're going to ask these questions because you did with the distance. I'm going to give you a little bit more detail here. The monetary value of the sponsorships is the same for each of these. So you have to just consider that the monetary value is the same, and they're all going to pay your entry fees and enough to travel to each event and lodging. So like, just take all of that, like monetary financial stuff out of it. It's more, we're looking at the brand. Okay, so would you go sign up with Nike, McDonald's, Red Bull, or Planet Fitness? Nike, McDonald's, Red Bull, or Planet Fitness? Your main tour sponsor. Ben, you're up.
It's Nike.
That was easy? That was easy, Ben?
Yeah, that's like, yeah, top 2 picks, but it's Nike.
Josh.
Well, I was gonna say the same, but I won't. I will Planet Fitness.
Oh man, we're gonna do it the non-trifecta. We're all gonna choose something different here. I'm gonna say, but I don't feel like it's it, but I kind of need points on Ben. It was either Nike or Red Bull in my mind. Planet Fitness is in there, obviously the rock climbing and all that. But I don't know if that's the brand he would be like, I want Planet Fitness on my, what is it? A purple shirt with like a globe or something. I don't know. I'm not trying to make fun of their logo, but I'm going to go Red Bull. I think there's an element of that for rock climbing, but I don't know if it's your personality, Andrew. I don't know if you like Red Bull. Before you answer, do you drink Red Bull ever?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay. Now give the answer.
Yeah, it's Team Red Bull.
Yes.
He's an
I just want you to
F1
know-
guy.
I am like, well, no, not the F1 team, but it's very hard to keep a straight face during all this. So I hope you don't. I am trying to go.
We're trying to read it. We're trying.
Yeah, I
to
know. I'm trying to read you.
As possible. I promise I'm not like, yeah, but it is red. Those are good choices. McDonald's also kind of slaps. So, but I'd say I drink a lot of coffee. I love an energy drink every once in a while. And like
Yes.
a tournament is my like, I just want to get to the course. I'm going to stop at Quick Check or Wawa or
Yes.
something, and I'm going to grab a energy drink I probably shouldn't be having,
Yes.
and probably another one before the second round.
Dude.
Wow.
Red Bull.
Doubling up.
You are so relatable to me. Like I said, it was like the smoking, meat cooking, and all the rock climbing, all disc golf. And I'm going, that's me, man. I don't drink Red Bull that often, but man, on a tournament, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take a Red Bull. So there we go. Perfect. I caught up to Ben. Let's keep going here. If you were to choose unfavorable weather for, let's say, your next tournament round, what would you choose? It's always debated. What is it going to be? Rain, snow, or wind? No. I always specify. This is for nostalgia's sake. I got to go into it. Rain. Like, this is where it's hard to stay dry. Like, you have an umbrella, it's still hard to stay dry. It's raining. Snow. It's accumulated at least 3 or 4 inches, and it's continuing to snow. Not necessarily blizzard, but it's snowing, and there's snow on the ground. Or wind. Substantial. To where it's affecting every throw you do. You might have 20 or 30 mile an hour gusts. What would it be that you're choosing? Because you're like, that's the weather that I would choose out of those bad choices.
Okay.
And is it me, Josh?
No, I think I'm up, and
Okay.
I'll go with an answer. I'll just say wind, even though.
Oh, he's from New Jersey.
Jersey.
They don't get much snow. At least I don't think so. They do get snow, but not like a lot. And he's only disc golfed a year and a half, so that means he's played through the winter. I feel like the answer that he's going to give would be Dang, wind. I think it is wind. At least that's what I would choose. Ben.
That's what I'm going with too. It's wind. Everyone would want to play in the wind. Rain and snow's miserable.
Actually, I said that's what I would choose. Snow is always what I would choose. It's
All
the
right,
least
I'm
effect
still
on.
sticking
But
with wind.
I'm gonna say he's gonna answer wind. All right, what do you got, Andrew?
Oh, okay.
I'd probably pick snow.
So close.
Wind is just like it's too many variables. I don't know. It feels like it's gonna mess up my round more so. I mean, I obviously would hate to be cold or wet, but
Yeah.
I care more about my score than I do my personal being on the course.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like snow is the answer for me too. I feel like out of those, I'm like, I can kind of be prepared to stay warm, and it probably has the least effect. Now, granted, it has the most effect on like your feet placement. Like that's tough if you're doing like a run up or something. The tee pads are slippery or whatever, but anyways, okay. Well, no points there. All right, we're getting close to the end here. I think we have 2 left. And right now, it's still technically could be anybody's game with 2 left. So here we go. From Circle's Edge, and that wasn't a term for a long time in disc golf, in the sense of circle 1, circle 2. But so from the 10-meter circle putting edge, you're not on the inside of it, you're on the outside, but you can't jump. You just stand still. You're right at it. If I gave you a stack of 10 putters, how many are going to go in? Let's say you went out tomorrow. There's no wind. It's nothing like that. It's just like your average Circle's Edge, 10 putts. How many are going to go in? And I get to answer that. So let me know when you locked one in.
Yeah.
This is always a pretty interesting game of over-under because I have to nail it because you guys are going to either say, do we allow doubles up, guys? If I say a number, you guys can choose it. You like that? I forget. We always go over that. I'm going to say 6. That's my answer. 6 is what he's going to answer. Ben.
Believe it or not, I was going to say 6 too, but I'm going to... Andrew. This is Circle's Edge?
How about we do this? This is a quick Steve Falco type rule, Ben. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We used to have a guy, Andrew, who'd be in the chat. And if you're still out there, Steve, we talk about you all the time.
Yeah.
This is years ago. He would get so upset with the rules of this game. He's like, they're just playing the game. Like they're not actually trying to guess the right answer. So what I'm going to say is for this question specifically, we should say you have to get it right or you don't get points. So there's no over under.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
You have to get it right. So we can all get 0 here. So pick what you think it is.
Yeah, I'm going 6. That was my gut feeling.
Josh.
I got 7.
Well, that's your only chance to catch up. All right, Andrew, what's the answer?
I'd probably say 5 total average. Josh, I appreciate you having that kind of faith in me, man. If I felt confident putting all the time and hitting 7, that would be awesome. But putting's one of those things where, man, I have the best day ever or I have the worst day ever. I really feel like I've never had an in-between of that. So that's why I've got to land at 5 overall.
I felt like 5 would be like, that's like, I can hit 50%. But I was like, I think he's a little bit better than that. I thought maybe you'd give yourself that credit. But okay, so no points there. So we're coming to the last one. Josh, you're going to have to, and this is the Steve Falco, you have to just pick different than us if you want a chance. Yep. And actually, is it Ben that's going to pick first here? I think it is, yeah. So you'll get an idea. I won't play the game that way. I won't pick what you pick, Josh. I don't know if that's fair or not, but then if I just pick what you pick, you can't beat me. All right, here we go.
Go with your gut, man.
If you were, yeah, exactly. We should write it down. That's the Steve Falco rule. If you were to get a disc golf tattoo, which this is a kind of a personal question. Do you have any tattoos?
I do, yeah.
Okay, that's insightful. And not disc golf tattoo.
No.
That'd be crazy. Year and a half.
I got my first one 6 months ago.
For every hobby he's interested in. He's got a mechanical keyboard tattoo right here.
But I asked that, and we used to do this game a lot. Like in our first or second season, we would do this like 20 episodes a year, had this game in it. And I was convinced one day someone would be like, yes, I have a disc golf tattoo. And I was just going to be like, perfect. Now our game is to figure out what it is. But because you have a tattoo and it's not disc golf, let's say you get your first disc golf tattoo. Is it simply going to be a single basket? Like silhouette or colored or whatever, just an individual just basket. Is it going to be a doink putt? That means like it shows a putter hitting the front rim. It's like boom, like that's your tattoo. Is it a cartoon of a Tasmanian devil doing a 360 drive? So it's the cartoon Taz throwing a frisbee. Or is it a disc golf phrase? And for instance, it doesn't have to be one of these. It's just the general, is it a phrase? Like people get tattooed on themselves phrases. Would it be like grip it and rip it or death putt? Like, is it like, would you pick a phrase? And we've had some funny phrases people have thought up when they said they did pick that. But in general, those are your options. I don't know which one stood out to you.
That's so hard.
Cool. I'm locked.
Okay.
He's locked.
Ben, you're in.
He's easily a phrase or a basket guy. I don't see him getting Taz or a doink putt. So this is tough. I'd say,
But we don't know what his other tattoo looks like either. That might give it all the clue.
I'd say it's going to be a basket.
Josh.
All right, then I'm just saying a phrase.
Yo, Steve Falco. He hates that. He gets so mad. He's like, just pick what you think it is.
Maybe that's what I think it is.
Maybe it is. I want to win, but I'd have to go into a playoff with Ben if I get it the same. But I'm like, I think to your point, Ben, the gut tells me it's a single basket.
Okay, so
When you said it, I was shaking my head like, yeah, that's it. Just so you know, it was at that moment. I was like, yes. So that's our answers, Andrew. Did one of us win? Or are we going to a playoff?
I was going to go phrase.
We are going to a playoff.
Three-way playoff.
But a three-way playoff. Oh, man.
Jeez.
Okay.
Strap in.
Here we go. I feel like we kind of know this. So it might not be fair to ask. It usually is how many aces do you have? But we know he has 2.
2.
But
all right,
it
so
wouldn't
we
be
got a
that
point
great
there.
because either we'd say 2 or we'd be like 3, and it's like that's a dumb one to do at this point. But just for fun's sake, because people are going to be curious, Andrew, is it 2?
It's 2.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that would have we found that out too early. So here we go.
Yeah, sorry.
No. That's just part of the interview. It just happened. All right, here we go. This is the tiebreaker. We're gonna have to do this? Who decides to pick first thing, because it's just gonna have to be that way because we cannot pick the same answer for this tiebreaker. You cannot pick the same answer. It could just suck, but
We just gotta say it at the same time or
no.
something.
Here we go. Watch this. This should work. This is who answers first. Oh, I don't know how that happened. It was set to randomize and it went to me. But here we go. Which band? This is like the candy question. Which band best describes your most recent tournament performance? Ooh, my research might have helped here. Ben's
I'm gonna go
quickly
research
typing.
that right now.
Your most recent tournament performance. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Disturbed. Fall Out Boy. No Doubt. How about I give a lot more? We're just gonna saturate the answers here to make it even better. So when one stands out, you can just kind of lock it in. Coldplay, Journey, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Rush. There's a lot of options there. So out of all of those, yeah, there's a lot. It kind of makes it
Yeah,
more.
I gotta remember this.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, Disturbed, Fall Out Boy, No Doubt, Coldplay, Journey, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Rush. I feel like that's I don't know. That there's people that play fast. All right, I guess I'm up. Did you lock one in, Andrew?
Oh yeah. Sorry. I'm good.
Okay. I'm thinking. He knows exactly. So Fall Out Boy would mean he had putts. That's why he was getting his bogeys. No Doubt. I'm not feeling that. Coldplay, Journey. All right. Oh man. Between two. I'm gonna lock in Journey. Ben, you're up.
Give me the options again.
Just say your favorite band. No. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Disturbed, Fall Out Boy, No Doubt, Coldplay, Journey, Tom Petty, Heartbreakers, Rush.
It's easily Journey, man, because he went 919, 963.
You can't say the same one though.
I know.
All right, Ben, you're overthinking it. Let's go.
He says it's obviously Journey.
It's obviously, but I'm gonna go Rush, I guess, and then which leaves Josh with just negative ones, which I don't think a 963, his highest rated round, is negative.
That's right. I'm saying Fall Out Boy. He had a couple putts fall out.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, that could be the feeling of the round. If you had 7 putts, 6
Oh,
putts,
one of
5
his
putts,
highest.
fall
That's it,
out.
though. I locked it in.
All right, dude. If we didn't get it right here, we're all just gonna end this tied because I don't have any more tiebreaker questions.
No, that's all right. I was between two, and the one I decided on was Journey.
I knew it. I knew it. What was the other one?
Was Coldplay because it was rainy, and I didn't have a jacket to start, and I had to grab it for second round, and it was miserable in that first round. But I'm proud of how I shot in the rain. So.
Yeah, I knew Journey was the obvious answer. I knew it.
So that was that game is back in some level. Maybe we'll go back to Maple Hill and interview random players and bring it back to the course. That could be a lot of fun. But we appreciate Andrew taking the time to do that. Andrew,
That was fun.
this throws us way back nostalgia in the early days of our podcast doing long form interviews. We appreciate your time. We always give people like, hey, shout outs, but that's usually players and sponsors. You can shout out your YouTube channel if you want. I don't know if people know about it, but or we're pretty much done. So is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, I know. I mean, you should all listen to the Funzy podcast because it's one of the best disc golf podcasts out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some disc golf channels that I think aren't well known. Another Round Disc Golf is fantastic. Broderick is awesome, but I think everyone knows him at this point. Everyone knows Bedanza. And then Six-Sided Discs, I really think is like one of the more important disc golf channels out there, and they're awesome.
He'll be at the expo, by the way.
Yep.
Official announcement. He will be at the expo officially.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is super fun. It's fun to like talk about some stuff outside of tech sometimes, and diving headfirst into this hobby is jumping on podcasts is one way of doing that for sure.
True. That is interesting.
Hey, you're a man of status. We had to get you on.
No, in fact, when Ben told me who he had lined up, which we didn't even discuss in the off season, I'm not saying it's not as important, but we're just like, hey, just line people up. And then he's like, hey, I got, he posted a picture of Marcus, and he's like, I got the studio producer for this. And I was just like, very cool, Ben, very cool. So like, good job,
Yeah,
Ben.
I had to convince him. I had to bring him to like the top, and then
Work
studio
your way down.
producer.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's still cool.
No, that's horrible. But no, in all seriousness, it was very cool to have you on. Different perspective. We always appreciate that. And yeah, absolutely. If you're ever up in this way, you're traveling through to go to Beverly and you want to get in around, you've never played Maple before?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Let's get in the first time, maybe in the spring or
Compare it
summer
to,
if you want to get a nice
That's our
weather.
hometown.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or if
I've
you
got
want to go
some-
to Tree House.
Oh, true. We're not far from there either. Like 20 minutes.
If you all are ever driving through Jersey again, though, stop at Tecumseh.
Okay.
It's seriously such a good course.
All right, cool.
I will.
Very cool. All right. Well, we appreciate your time, man. We're going to let you go. We appreciate all the time, and we'll talk to you some other day. See you out on the course.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
Peace.
Good night.
See you.
All right, everybody. That was fun. That was back, like I said, a throwback to a lot of nostalgia for us, or at least for me. I guess you guys weren't there back in the beginning, but judge that disc golfer in the super long format interview. He was here for the last hour and a half. So.
No,
Cool.
yeah, that was exciting. I'm glad we got him on for a while. I mean, I think he gives good opinions
great
and things
content.
they're super unique because I don't know. Like, yes, I know we keep mentioning Marquez because it's his channel, but Andrew is like a huge part of that, along with a bunch of people as well. But Andrew's one of the reasons, Marquez has been able to be as successful. So props to him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I'll state what you just did, even though it's so obvious they don't need that statement, but they've worked hard, right, to get where they are. And it's pretty cool for anybody to do that in any industry. It's great to see that. And it's fun to talk with them and get their insights and to share interests in a common hobby and sport and see. I know this is so obvious, but there's so many disc golfers who just enjoy disc golf. And it's fun when you see a crossover like that. And you can tell, like, in the last year and a half, he's literally has discs hanging on his pegboard in the background, talks about it. And like, there's something about like the classic. Did you see the way he explained that shot? That was like so incredible, right? That ended in the middle, and you could just tell, and I mean this in the most positive sense, like just so proud of that. Cause like, that's what disc golf is. Like I, right now talking with you, have a shot in mind that I'm like, oh,
me too. Yeah. I visualized it.
Matt, you know what my shot is? When you and I played doubles at the Hollows and I threed like the South all on my own, like throws on hole, whatever it is. Do you remember that?
Like 18, hole 18?
No, it was the doubles. You and I played the doubles and
we were doubles
Hollows,
teams.
Yes. Hollows South. And is it hole 1 or 2? It's incredibly long.
And you went over OB.
Yeah, but it was like every shot was my shot on that hole.
That's why I remember. You're like,
well, I threw it all the way down. Yeah. I threw it all the way down the middle, and then I threw it all the way over OB and like parked it and drop in 3. So that's
and over B as in like through like the jungles, people. Like there's like almost no lane.
I only threw it there because it was doubles. Like I could never do that in a singles tournament. But anyway, that's random. But yeah, my point is it's fun to talk with somebody who just still has that raw perspective and is not a pro disc golfer, which is a totally different kind of conversation. So that's cool. Ben, thanks for making that connection.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, shout out Andrew. I mean, he followed me on his own, and that's how I started to get to know him, and it was super cool.
Says he consumes disc golf media.
Yeah, exactly. And he's big fans of my podcast that I'm trying to overtake Stagger Stance with. No, I'm just kidding.
It sounds like it. He's out here promoting it on our show.
I know, that was awesome. That was awesome.
I'm teasing about it. I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
From quite frankly, I mean, maybe both you have different opinions, but from my perspective, maybe there can be some fun rivalries for disc golf podcasts, and maybe we have some opinions about some things. But at the end of the day, like I would like promo every single piece of disc golf content out there because, like, what in the world? Like we're all like talking about disc golf in our own ways. So like I'm like promote it all.
Yeah. I thought it was
fun fact. Funzy was in the options for our podcast name.
Tell him.
Yeah, I mean,
I did not know that.
There's
Matt
lots
came
of
up
stories.
with it.
There's lots of stories that we could tell one day or another day. If you made it this far in the episode, yeah, when we went through name changes, we had a Google form. We had a Google form that just simply said, type your name idea. And for weeks, show hosts would just type, like, they'd just be sitting at work or they'd be driving, like, they'd just be like, oh, this is a name I thought of. So we ended up getting like 150 names. It was crazy. And then there was only like a handful that were even consideration. And frankly, one of them was Funzy, but it just wouldn't have fit for us as a show.
No.
But Ben was like, holy
this is the one
cow.
we ended up with. Wah, wah.
Yeah.
But
that was an interesting process. We could go through another time. It was like ranked based voting and all that stuff. But like,
I was like, I love that name.
Dude, fun.
What a name.
I'm like, it's an awesome name. Like, I'm not saying because I thought it up, but I was like, Funzy is like a unique thing. It's really not anything. It's related to disc golf. Anyways, Ben's like, Matt, can we use that name over there? And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Hold that name forever for another show I'm going to start? No. And I'm like, Ben, definitely take it. It's a whole, it could be a brand. It could be a whole brand, like clothing line, Funzy.
I'm going to take it to the moon.
I have. That was originally what the plan was going to be. I was going to make it a clothing brand, but then I realized I have way too much going on to even think about doing a clothing brand. So then I was like, you know what, I should use, because I wanted to do a podcast. So I was like, I'll use it for the podcast. And I love the design. I love the logo. I don't even know. I have stickers of it somewhere, but
it fits you.
Yeah, it was a super fun creating that sort of logo. But what I was gonna say is, it's so funny because me and Andrew kind of similarly have the same story on how we got into the things we're doing now, in the sense that you were my Marquez Brownlee Matt, and I was like, I should get a T-shirt
made. I'm somebody's Marquez Brownlee.
Yeah, because he was saying the same thing. He was like, like if you need help, on our podcast, he talked about it more in depth. But he was like, yeah, if you need someone that needs help, and Marquez started talking about employees, and he's like, I don't want to like push this on you, but if this is something you want me to do, and then Marquez was like, you know what, yeah, I actually do need help, and that's how it happened. Same thing happened to you. I was just like, I'd love to help out, and you were like, yeah, like that would be awesome. So it's kind of like similar in that way, how I got my foot in the door, which is, now thinking back at it, it's so weird just how much has happened in the past 3 years, where like just the start, just Nick and Matt show was like the start of it all. It's crazy.
That's how it happens.
Very cool.
I can't wait till one day I get interviewed on the Funzy podcast. Looking forward to that.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. I don't know why I just never thought about you guys as an interview. I thought about Matt for Disc Golf Daily, but we'll get you guys on. That'd be awesome.
All good. But I mean, how is it with investments? I think both of you do a little bit of that. I don't do a lot of it, but like you kind of,
I do a lot of it.
Is it hedge your, what is that word called? Hedge
your bets.
Hedge your bets.
Yeah. So like you kind of, and I know you diversify and all that, but like the more you do, you kind of hope you get one that lands, kind of a thing. I'm kind of like, okay, if I can invest in Ben's podcast, help him be successful, I'll give you all the inside secrets, Ben, and give you all the time, because when he lands it and strikes it rich and he's the next 1 million subscriber YouTube channel, he'll remember me, like, and I'll help this guy over here, and like, come on, baby, you can do it. It's the dad passing it on to the son kind of thing. So come on, Ben.
Literally, yeah.
You're my retirement plan.
Yeah, dude, I got you. If Funzy becomes a multi-million-dollar enterprise.
Intern Matt.
Right?
And I'm like 60. I'm like, I'm the intern now. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, but I can't stress enough. Obviously, I appreciate everything you've done for me. Like I said it all the time. You've quite literally changed my life for like insane. I don't even know. The expo still probably would have happened, but I don't think it would have been as successful without my name already having some credibility through your opportunity that you gave me, and just the help of advertising it and stuff like that was huge.
It was meant to be, and there was never a question about not promoting or helping you. And I'm not saying you needed help, but to your point, it was a big difference. It was kind of like a catalyst, is I think the right word there.
Yeah. So it was a good boost.
Very, very cool. Yeah, and it was organic in a lot of ways. I know you said you reached out, but it was kind of like, yeah, let's do something. Let's make it. Let's have fun. So
yeah, it did help that we knew each other before.
True.
So
there was a lot. There was a lot of things that had to come together for this.
There's a lot of yeah. It's crazy to think that it was like a decade of just kind of these like things that led to this.
Soaking.
Yeah, and now
wow.
And honestly, you didn't even know this, but like when I'm at Wicked Awesome Wednesdays playing around with like my friends, when you were a youth pastor, I was plotting the whole time, like one day I'm going to be on this man's disc golf podcast, and I'm just planting the seeds today.
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
Oh. I was like, you said you never knew this, and I'm like, I didn't. I'm just like amazed over here. He's been plotting this forever.
I didn't know disc golf back then.
All right.
No, I did know disc golf back then. That's when that's how I started going to Wicked Awesome Wednesday. But I think that was my
when we got partnered up randomly. Partners. Yes, I can't believe that.
So. That's that's another good example how this happened. The first time I've ever played Pyramids doubles leagues. This was maybe my third time ever playing disc golf. I was partnered with Matt, and he was probably like, "Oh my goodness, this guy is terrible."
No,
but he invited me to his youth group, and then rest was history. I got a bunch of friends there, and that's how I started to get to know Matt, because I randomly was paired with him. So imagine if that didn't happen. I don't know if I'd be on this podcast if we didn't get randomly. If we didn't get randomly paired up. I want to say it was like 2015.
That's crazy.
Around there. Yeah.
And then years went by without. Okay, cool.
Yeah, well, it'd be crazy if my parents didn't have another kid after me. I wouldn't be
Yeah,
on
I
the
know,
show.
dude. This is like, wow. We're getting deep here.
Imagine if
Great.
they didn't have you, Matt. This show wouldn't even be here. Ben wouldn't even have an expo.
I know. What the?
And I
So
don't know what I'd be
really-
doing on Monday nights. It'd be like,
So really, we should be saying thank you, Mom and Dad.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look at what you've done, Mom and Dad. There's a disc golf expo. There's a podcast. All these great things.
Well, if you really want to get granular, like the odds of you even being a human being are like 1 in like a trillion. Like the odds of us actually being here right now is like I don't want to get too into it. You can probably put 2 and 2 together, but it's like it's
odds of it.
the odds of
astronomical.
the odds in the universe.
and that, like, when
here
it
we
happened,
are.
it was you. I mean, that's even more incredible.
Yeah,
Hey, and
exactly.
obviously, like in a semi-serious note, even though I'm laughing quite a bit with this, it's like it is cool to do something. Ben, I think for you, it's a little more of a job. For me, I do take the show serious enough where I treat it like a side job, but it's not my career. But at the end of the day, like it is awesome to be able to do something that's also fun. And sometimes the show is a responsibility. Sometimes it's like on a Monday night, it's not the thing I'm trying to like sit down and do, but for the most part, man, it's just really cool. So I'm glad it's all worked that way. And who knows where things will be in another year or two. Maybe we'll have a better show name and another
To the
co-host.
moon.
Another
Better
name.
show name.
We never said where Nick was, by the way, the whole show. So people that already tuned out don't know, but Nick's busy with a Q Series event. Disc Golf Pro Tour has going.
Yeah,
on.
pro tour level stuff. So not bad in his own right.
So there you go. We made it to this point in the show. Off season, you won't get these types of episodes all the time. Some of you love them. Some of you wish there was others. So this is for everybody. Some of my favorite podcasts. Sometimes they'll go way out in left field, and I'll be like, that's interesting enough. I'll be back. So you'll get stuff like this here and there. You kind of heard me mention Ben's more responsible. He's not like solely on his own, but he's more responsible for lining up guests. So if you have ideas for Ben, reach out either through
message me,
Staggered
DM
Stance
me.
or his own Instagram channel.
Yes, do it through Staggered Stance. That'd be preferred,
Yeah.
just so I don't feel awkward if I have to say no.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Because now we're gonna get reached out by like just
everybody's like,
anyone
Ben,
that
you
wants
can
to
get us on now. You can get us
yeah,
on.
right. Like my friends.
Anyways, yeah, there's a lot to do with that. But anyways, yeah, reach out if you have a good idea. You can pursue it. Appreciate everyone tuning in. We'll get through this off season next week in the U.S. Thanksgiving, and that holiday won't stop us from having a show. Maybe we'll talk about a few things we're thankful for, and we're thankful for you guys. But we're a little ahead of the game, so we'll wait till next week to really get into that. We appreciate everybody. Until next time, catch you out there. Peace out, everybody.